watching me. Are you having fun? Yes, your booty, of course. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Wow.
My name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. Welcome to the start of another weekend vlog. I'm here. It is Saturday. I am very sleepy, so I was like, I'm gonna stand up and start this vlog because my brain is just like about to take me for a nap, and I don't need a nap right now. Or maybe I do. I don't know. But today's been very chill. I had an oil change this morning, so when I went to go drop off my car, I had a little gander at the nearby Value Village. Didn't find anything, but it was nice to walk around. There was a piano in there, and someone was jamming on it the whole time, and it was very lovely background music. It was nice. And then I came home. It was a very fast oil change too. It like actually landed within the hour, which is so rare, and like I have not had a perfect hour oil change in years. So like usually it takes 2.5 hours for my oil change, and I'm like, this is fantastic. This time around, speed. So love that for me. Got to leave early. I'm out of it. I don't know what I'm gonna be reading this weekend at all. I really couldn't tell you, guys, because I did that like 12-hour readathon last weekend, and then I did a like Thursday night. I read 3 books in one night for a video. You saw that go up, and I don't know what I'm gonna read. I do have some options, so let me talk about them. I have, of course, a couple things from that 12-hour readathon, and also from Thursday's video that I kind of am keeping near my brain. And then I have also, of course, some books on my Pride TBR that I could read. I fucking don't know, guys. I don't know what I want to read, and it's kind of I just don't know. So I could read To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monaco Blackgoose, which I have already read. This would be a reread to thus read the sequel, which I should read. But I'm kind of terrified to read this now because not because I know I don't absolutely, I love this book. I love it. But I just read the entire Fireborn trilogy, and that trilogy inspired my brain to go right back to Project Dragon. Guess what I've been working on for the past few days? Project Dragon. So I'm going to be working on that this weekend. Let me get my notebook to hold it up. I dug around and I found my old project notebook. Oh, I could also read this. I don't know. I found my old project notebook because whatever reading Fireborn did to me, it unlocked my brain. So I haven't touched this project notebook since like 2021. And I think the last time I read anything or wrote anything for Project Dragon was probably 2022, maybe. I don't remember. So I went back into this project notebook and I had a little gander, had a little read through of everything, and then kind of went, okay, I have this new notebook I picked up from Michael's on the other day because I was like, ooh, pretty notebook for like $9. Let's do it. I did this because I love notebooks, I love stationery, and I have a problem. But I was like, I feel like there's going to be a project that's going to need this very soon, not knowing that like immediately the next day I would be like, Project Dragon, it's back. So I don't know if I've ever like actually properly said anywhere, but Project Dragon's title is God Touched for the first book. God Touched, all one word, very fancy. This is the opening page I did for it. I'm also going to be doing a separate writing vlog for Project Dragon because why not? I haven't done like an actual writing vlog on my channel in a while, so figured I should probably do that. But I wanted to talk to you guys about it because I feel like this weekend's going to be a lot of Project Dragon. So I went back through all my notes, did a little like recap for myself of like what I remember, and then wrote down like things that my brain was thinking of, and then just started to plan and write down things. Went back into my notes on my Scrivener file, found all the gods that I had written before, figured out some more characters, figured out some more things about the plot that I hadn't ever thought of before. They're brand new. I've just been kind of picking away at it. This is going to be such an epic, such a large, such a intense epic fantasy that I'm just like, there's so many moving pieces. And I know what they're all like surrounding. I know each of them are all connected to one particular element of the world building in here that I threw in kind of as like an aside in my world building back when I was building Revar as a world in 2020. So I'm just like, I have to figure out this element and how everyone's connected. And I I have a feeling that this is going to be just a ride and a half, but my brain wants to work on this, and I haven't had my brain want to work on anything all of 2026, so I'm letting my brain do what it wants. Anyways, I'm scared to read Shape of Dragon's Breath now because I'm like, more dragon books, will this derail me or will it benefit me? I don't know. Anyway, so there's that one. You could also read An Arcane Study of Stars by Sydney J. Shields, which is like a dark academia vibe. I have Sorcery and Small Magics by Magadusi, which is from my Pride TBR. This is like a cozier fantasy if I'm feeling that. I, of course, have this epic fantasy, which is Among the Burning Flowers by Samantha Shannon, which is a direct prequel to Prior of the Orange Tree. And then I also have the option of reading my Aardvark book of the month, which is The Unicorn Hunters by Catherine Arden, which I believe is like a slower, more historical fantasy. I could be wrong, but I'm not sure. So we got options. We got options. I have 170 books on my TBR. I have options. My brain doesn't know what it wants right now. So those are the options I'm giving myself for the weekend. We'll see what I end up reading. I also like gently was like, what if I start rereading Bethany Jacobs' sci-fi series? Because I read the first one a while ago, don't remember anything about it, but I want to read the full trilogy, or at least I want to give it another try because I didn't like super love the first book when I read it, but I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's just so many things I could be reading right now. Who's to fucking say? I also got a haircut. I don't know if you saw my vlog previously, but I did get a haircut after 10 months of not having a haircut. I went in August of last year to get my hair done from a different hairdresser because my hairdresser that I've been going to for a couple years was out of commission due to like emergencies and surgeries and all sorts of stuff like that. So I didn't mind my haircut in August, but I was also like, I am on the edge of getting a really bad haircut again. If I go back to them, I don't want to because they don't really know curly hair. Like, that's the issue, is finding someone who knows curly hair and then knows my hair, because my hair doesn't act like a lot of curly hair. It's very fine, it's very thin, and I was just like, so 10 months have passed of me waiting to see if my hairdresser would come back, and she's back. So I got my hair done, but she's been back for a little while, and my mom has been going back to her because mom goes to her. Mom gets her hair dyed and all this sorts of stuff, but I've been like kind of like in the background, like, I know she's not back fully, but would she take me? Like, would she take me back? Because my hair doesn't take very long to cut, and I don't do like color or anything, right? So I'm like, would she? She did, and I'm so happy. I'm back. Like, this is light and airy and bouncy. I'm back. It's cute. Anyways, welcome to the weekend vlog, my friends. I have no plans today. The oil change today was the only plan, so we'll see what kind of creative work I get done this weekend, what kind of reading I get done. I just hope I read at least one book. That'd be fun. I also have an itch to start playing a cozy game, and I did buy Ooblets last week or the weekend before, so I could be starting Ooblets soon, which could devour my entire soul. So who's to say? Let's find out. Welcome to the weekend vlog. Your pizza? Yeah! Come here. Here you go.
What are you doing, pretty girl?
Hello, friends. Happy Monday. I am here, popping in to actually do an update because I haven't talked to you like most of the weekend. I've been shitting the bed on the whole vlogging situation, but hello, friends. It's Monday, start of another week. This weekend have had very chill time. Very chill time. I've done more work on Project Dragon. I have done more work on my knitting project, and I have also started a book. So let's talk about the book first. I started reading An Arcane Study of Stars by Sydney J. Shields. Why? It was vaguely calling to me, and I had the audiobook on Libby, so I was like, sure, let's do this one. And so far, I am enjoying it. I think it's pretty good. The story really captured me from word go, like not in a way that I was like, I can't put this down, oh my god, but in a way of like, oh, like I'm very interested in this to see where this is going. There is so much lore and world building and backstory with the characters to like, I can just feel it. I can feel it brewing, and I'm like, yes, please. I'm so excited about this. This is a standalone dark academia book, and it definitely does sit in that academia vibe because we are literally in class with these kids, like learning, you know what I mean? And actually going through these lectures and getting all this information as our main character is. So definitely academia. Definitely academia. I almost wish that I had saved this for fall because I feel like that would be the perfect vibe, but I am enjoying it right now. We have a lot of queer side characters, and our main character is also bi, which we love. So yay for all the different identities during Pride Month. This follows our main character, Claudia, as she, at the beginning of this, is trying to find literally any way out of her situation. Her father has viced himself into debt, essentially. Her mother passed away when she was 12, and she is going to be essentially married off to the highest bidder, and she knows that like the wealth that her father is seeking, and because like it's well known that her father is kind of this gambler, like just spends his money willy-nilly, he owes a lot of debt to a lot of people, and it's well known that he's kind of fucked their entire reputation, that like no one wants to marry her, and she knows that like the kind of wealth that her father's seeking is from someone who's very old. So she's 23, and at the beginning of this, her father tells her that he has basically set her up with this 60, 70, it kind of getting the feeling of like almost an 80-year-old man. Like he's old, he's decrepit, to the point of like it's basically just like she is a body for him to have kids through and like further his lineage. And it's creepy, it's disgusting, it's awful. Her father, disgusting man, all this kind of stuff. She is looking for any way out, and she knows that her mom kind of had something funky going on with the stars. Like she's like, there's something up with that. And one day she goes to this bookstore that she can no longer really afford to go to, but she's like been like saving up like pennies and pennies so she can go to this bookstore that she used to frequent a lot with her mom. And she finds this tiny little book that doesn't have a price on it. I love a little trope like that. Like you find a tiny little book, it's like it's calling to you in a store and all this kind of stuff. Doesn't have a price on it, but it talks about this university. She basically begs the bookseller to sell it to her, and the bookseller is like, okay, promise me that you will apply. And she goes, huh? So she applies to this university. She doesn't get in, but then she meets this nightmare. He calls himself Dorian. It's kind of like Rachel Gillig's One Dark Window series, where like there's like an internal monster type situation that's like doing things for her. It's kind of like that, except he's not in her, like internally, he's not like in her brain or her subconscious or whatever. He lives in like the nightmare realm, and he's been trapped there asleep for 100 years, and he needs her to go study this dead, has been disproven type of situation, magic that has to do with the stars, because for the last 100 years he's been trapped in the stars and he needs her to free him. So it's like there's that level. And then so she gets into this university to study a different subject because this subject that she wants to study is no longer offered. And so she gets into the university because this Dorian guy pulls some weird godly strings. So she gets in and she starts having this immediately terrible relationship with this Cassius figure who fucking just drags her through the mud the moment she walks in through those doors, covered in blood because the way she got there was insane. And it's just this layer after layer of like, we have this toxic enemies to lovers relationship between Cassius and Claudia. We have really interesting side characters as well, and like this whole mystery of the fact that the reason she even got her place at this university was because the previous top rhetoric student died in her sleep, and all these people at the school think that Claudia killed her in her sleep somehow to get this spot because, like, you know, rumor mill. Of course, she recruits this one professor to like help her learn this star magic, this ancient star magic that's been like disproven and whatever, and she's behind, so she's like studying so hard and she's reading it all times a day, and it's like there's so much want in this main character, and there is just like a drive to prove herself and to do well and to come out on top and to do everything that she is trying to do so that she can, you know, fulfill her goals and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I love a book with a main character that is just filled with want. And last night there was a scene that I read that I was like not really expecting so soon in the book, but it was like immediately very sexual, but like no one really even touched the other person. It was just this tension of like, get on your knees and beg. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? This is, oh, I'm blushing. Like, I was, it was, yeah. Anyways, I'm very excited to keep going with this, to see where it goes, to see all the reveals we're going to be getting, to see where our character goes from here, because she's like kind of on the precipice of being a bad person, because like obviously she does some stuff at the beginning of this book that she, you know, could be jailed for, but she does it in desperation, right? So it's like self-defense, desperation kind of level. So she's not like she premeditatedly did this kind of stuff, but now she's like making deals with this Dorian person to basically give up part of her soul and get this power that she's so desperate for. And it's just like, ooh, it's delicious. I'm excited to see where it goes. So, Dark Academia. We love that. Anyways, that's what I've been reading, and I will continue to read that. I know I said at the beginning of this vlog that I wanted to have a book finished this weekend, but I'm probably not going to because it's already Monday and I've read only 200 pages of this, and it is a like 500 plus page book, so like barely. I think I'm 40% of the way through. Yeah, 504 pages, so just over 500 pages. I will continue reading that as I go through. I didn't really read on Saturday. I ended up just sitting at home doing a whole lot of nothing. And then I decided to officially restart the t-shirt that I had started knitting a while ago, because the beginning, like the start of it looked so bad on my other version. I still haven't frogged it. It's sitting over there, but I wanted to restart it and do it properly, because I found a video online of like how to do German short rows well, and like they walked me through it, and I was like, okay, that makes so much more sense. And then I wanted to do the increases as the pattern was saying, like I make one left, make one right, rather than the knit front back that I was doing, which is the increase that I do for my sweater that I'm working on. So I was doing increases, but I was doing them not the way the pattern was saying. And so things weren't looking very good. So I restarted it, and I think this is looking a lot better. There is still a couple spots that I'm like, I'm so annoyed about that. But again, I'm like an earlier beginner knitter, so my tension's a little weird in some places and I'm trying to get used to it. But there's also like a hole where the German short rows ended on one side, only on one side. So I don't know what I did wrong on that one particular German short row, but there's just a little bit of a hole kind of near the top, which whatever. But yes, I am in the midst of this here project. It's gonna be a nice little t-shirt, and I managed to got like, it's called barber cord, like the fancy version of it is called barber cord, but I ended up just getting like a 2 or 3 millimeter thick, like a stretchy kind of like rubber cord essentially, that I'm using as a placeholder for my sweater, because my sweater was on these longer circular needles and I needed this longer circular needle to continue with this t-shirt because there was just too much fabric on my little ones that I was using. So I managed to completely move that onto a placeholder, and I'm gonna finish this before I go back to knitting my sweater, because that's so much work to like sew through that entire thing and then remove the it's so much work. It took me like an hour and a half to do last night, but now I can actually like try this on a little bit for now, which is looking good so far. I like it a lot. So anyways, and I think once it's blocked, I'm also like, this is cotton yarn, so it's not really forgiving for any stitches. Like my sweater is incredibly forgiving because it's drops air, so it's very fluffy. It has like a halo to it, cutting yarn, so you can make mistakes and no one would notice because like the yarn like masks it. But cotton yarn is so particular about the way that it looks that it's like, this is how it's going to look. And so I'm hoping that once it's done and I wash it, that it'll and block it, it'll fix a couple of the inconsistencies maybe, or some weirdness with like some of the, because I dropped a stitch here, and when I picked it up with my crochet hook, I think it tightened it bit too much. I don't know. But like, I'm hoping that once it's done and blocked, it will stretch out and relax a little bit. Anyways. So this is what I've been creatively working on this weekend. Restarted this whole yoke type situation of this t-shirt, which I'm excited about. I'm going to just keep going. This is such an addictive knitting project. Like, I'm so excited to finish this and then move on to the blue, the light blue that I have that I bought also to do this t-shirt in, because it's a cotton bamboo yarn, so it's like softer. So I think it's going to drape really nicely. So I'm excited to just continue knitting forever and ever and ever. And I love having something to do with my hands that isn't just scrolling on social media. So this has been great. I love this. This is the Tolsta Tea by Rebecca something or other, I believe. So love that for me. That is what I've been doing for the majority of my weekend. And then, of course, I did continue working a little bit on Project Dragon. And I think I'm at the point now where I really want to go into my proper Scrivener file and start rereading what I've written. Because I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I know what happens in each of these storylines. I just need to now write these storylines. So I'm at the point where I'm like, I can just keep drafting if I want to, which is crazy. Like, if you guys have been following my writing journey for a while, if you guys have seen like different writing vlogs and how I write different stories, every book that I write is different in the way that I approach it, because sometimes my brain just needs to unlock something new to be able to even write that. And with Far Horizons, which is what I was working on earlier this year, my brain kept wanting to like skip around to different scenes, and even then it was like pulling teeth. It just was not flowing. My brain did not want to work on it very much. With A Second Story, for example, that one I plotted by just like hammering out like, this is what happens type of summary scene by hand. And then I went and I wrote it in like 25 days. I wrote the first draft of that story. So shit's whack. Shit's whack. With like, if you are a creative of any kind, if you are an author, if you've written books, you know that every book, you think it's going to get easier with every book. It fucking does not. Because every book you pick up, it's like starting fresh. Like, you're just trying to learn how this book wants to be written. It's annoying, but it's also very fun, because then you learn more things, you learn more techniques, you learn how your brain works with this particular story, and then you start again. You hit delete and you start again on the next project. Anyways, God touched, I think the next thing I need to do is just go back through and read what I have, because I've always said the one thing that I need before I even go into a story is to know my opening image and to know my final image of the book. And I don't necessarily know which one of the point of views is going to be the final image of the book, but I know what the ending is for each of the POVs. Like, I know where my characters are at the end of the book. I know how they get there, sort of, if not very well. And I know vibe. I think the only thing that I really necessarily need to figure out now is some specific stuff with one of my point of views, because he is, I think I mentioned him at the beginning. I might talk about him in my writing vlog. I've talked about him somewhere. But his point of view is a little bit less figured out, because he was kind of just a character that was really just a beginning character, and I didn't really know what he was going to do after that. So, because he was like a catalyst for literally like the original opening scene was for him to be found with a downed dragon and all this kind of stuff. So that was going to be the instigation for Maeve's storyline. So I was like, I don't know what he does after this. I now know what he does before and mostly after. I know where he goes after this. So I'm just like, okay, I need to figure out a lot of the before stuff. And that comes with me actually cracking down on figuring out the the center of every single one of these POVs, because every single one of them is surrounded by this one bit of world building that I threw in as a side little like, oh, this is kind of fun, I'm gonna throw that in there, that I did in 2020 that I mentioned earlier in this vlog. I have to figure out what the fuck is up with that. And I have to figure out the movements of the cult that's happening in here. I need to figure out what kind of things that this character's father is getting into that he's dragging Gem into, my character. And so I need to figure that out. I think that's the only big thing that I really need to figure out before I and actually start writing his point of view specifically. I have Izzy's point of view started. Let me pull up my Scrivener here. So Izzy, I have almost 20,000 words written in Izzy's point of view. Holy shit. Oh my god. I forgot that I wrote so much for her. Holy shit. So I'm looking at this 19,751 words in Izzy's point of view. In Maeve's point of view, I have 27,456 words. Holy shit. And I don't think I have any in gems. Oh no, I have 6,000 words in gems. Oh my god. Past Me was killing it, you know? Oh, Past Me also had a different POV for one of the queens. Fun. Okay. Yeah. Hell yeah. And then I have my prologue, which is one of the things I'm most proud of. 2,000 words there. So yeah, this whole project, I have 56,000 words in this project. Holy shit. So holy fuck. So what I need to know, or what I need to do now, is go back through what I've written for each of the POVs and then basically just write the POVs, write their whole storyline. I think that's how I'm going to approach this book specifically, is go point of view by point of view, so that because I know what happens in each point of view. So I know their story, because a lot of them happen like outside, like before the main storyline happens, and like, you know, it's back in the day and like it's getting context. So I know what their stories are doing. I just have to write them now. Holy shit. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. I don't know. You'll have to wait for the writing vlog to come out to know exactly what happens next with my Project Dragon picking back up of this story. But holy shit, that's kind of exciting. I didn't realize I had that much written. I thought I had like 40,000 written, but wow. But yeah, I got to go back through what I have written in my Scrivener doc, see what I can keep, see what I can salvage, see what Past Me was thinking, and then go from there. Because I think draft 1 of this book is literally just going to be so piecemealed, and like it's going to be split between all the POVs, and then it's going to be like a folder for Maeve, a folder for Issy, and then a folder for Jem, and a folder for whoever else. But after that, I think once I have like each of the structures of their point of views and their arcs figured out, I will figure out the best way to like weave them together chapter by chapter, I think is the best plan for this. But that's like way down the road. That's way down the road. I don't even know what my plan is with this book. Like, I would love to try publish it. I didn't realize that this is what my brain was going to want to do this June, and I guess almost July, because it is the 22nd today. I guess I'm letting my brain do what it wants, because I'm already thinking of like, I have a 4th POV that I think her story would be very interesting to include in it, but I don't think it's necessarily like structural to the story. It's just like added stuff that I think would be perfect for the story. And so I literally wrote a note in my book that was like, Ira's point of view, her story would be something that I would write on the side, but not include in the draft that I query. And then I was like, oh, so I want to query this. Holy shit. So I'm like, I don't know, guys. Far Horizons was what was next. And then my brain was like, what if you also try and publish Cosmic Latte? And now my brain is like, hey, what about this project you haven't looked at in like 5 years? What about that? I might be putting this into the universe too soon, but I think this is what I want to work on for a little bit, at least for the time being, until I find the drive to go back to Far Horizons again, because I don't want to force myself through that book. Like, I don't want to force myself through that story, because I know I love those characters. I love the idea of the story. I just don't want to force myself into it, unless I'm like, okay, I want to work on something. What do I want to work on? And then I'll like slowly pick away at it. But I think, gosh, like, yeah, my plan, I never really discussed it with you guys or anything, but my plan in my head was that June was going to be Cosmic Latte month, and I was going to try and see if I could randomly shitty draft it this summer and then have that in the works in the background of when I go back to Far Horizons. But now they have both been shoved so far away by a dragon. Like, I don't know. Like, my plan, because my brain is going too fast. Hold on. Originally, my goals for this year was to have the first and second draft of Far Horizons Book 1 done this year. That is not probably going to happen unless something insane happens in the next 6 months, wherein I draft so much and edit so much. I just don't think that's going to happen. I would still like to get at least draft 1 done of that book. So I would like to come back to it in the next couple months to like actually settle into it and go back to it. But I'm like, and then I was going to do Cosmic Latte on the side, because I was still on the fence of whether or not I wanted to try publish that one traditionally or self, because I know I can do it self-published, but I think it would be kind of cool to do it trad published. But then my whole thing is that I don't want my debut for trad publishing to be sci-fi, because I am a fantasy author. So I was just like, oh god, but I think it's going to be such an easy concept to get picked up, because it's something that is pretty prescient with a lot of the sci-fi happening right now. And like, it's not a dystopian, but it's like, it's fun sci-fi, it's cozy adjacent. Like, this is the sci-fi that would get picked up pretty easy. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I could try and get an agent with that one. And then so I was going to try and at least like draft it and see where I wanted to go with the story. And I did. And one of the previous like book auctions that happens a lot online, I have won 2 separate query packages with agents or like people in the book sphere. I don't know if they're necessarily agents specifically, but like they are people who help with query packages type of thing. So I have 2 of those, and I was originally going to use them as a like, I'm going to write a fresh query off of Far Horizons because I did that previously. I got a query tested through one of these, like I won I bid. I was the highest bidder on one of these auction sites for a query package. I did that with Far Horizons originally, I believe last year or the year before. And so I was going to do it again with 2 fresh people to like really vet this query, right? And now I'm like, do I use it instead to vet queries for Cosmic Latte and Project Dragon? Or do I do still Far Horizons? Now I'm just like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. Project Dragon came in and completely swept me off my feet and totally blew me out of the water as for what my plans were for this summer. So, but I'm letting my brain do what it wants to do because this year has been so weird and difficult creativity wise, with like writing creativity specifically, that I want my brain to be excited about what it works on so that it like kicks back into gear in an interesting way. And plus I have so much time this summer, now that I'm not teaching on the side for the summer season, that I can get a lot done, I think. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But yeah, that's the update. So I'm feeling good. I'm going to keep the rest of whatever I want to talk about with Project Dragon for that writing vlog, so I don't just reiterate myself in 2 places. I don't repeat myself in 2 places. But yeah, what a weekend. Oil change. It's restarted a knitting project, started a Dark Academia, and I've worked a little bit on Project Dragon and have done a lot of thinking about it. Now I'm here. It's Monday. That's what's up. That's what's happening. I've been yapping for 27 minutes now, and there's something in my eye. But hey, that's okay. Anyways, today I have about an hour and a half left of work. I have a couple little things that I need to do, so we'll do that, and then I will see what I end up doing after work. I have that itch to start that cozy game again, but I'm like, do I resist and just work on like creative stuff instead? Because I know what cozy games do to me. I know if I get really sucked in, I just won't be able to put it down. But who's to say? Maybe I'll read more of An Arcane Study of Stars. I don't know. But what I would love to know, my friends, is what you're reading currently and if you're liking it, because I think that's awesome if you are. And I hope it's something for Pride Month, because read queer books all the time. Oh, and as a reminder, my 3 books, my trilogy, A Second Story, A Little Luck, and A Favored Fae, are on sale currently on ebook. They're on, you can get all 3 of them for like $3 because they're each 99 cents. Not on Kindle, but on every other ebook site ever. So you can go and enjoy those for Pride Month. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys a little later because that was a big ol' brain dump wrap up, but yay. Hello, friends. It is now much later, and I'm coming in to close out the vlog after work today. I didn't do a whole lot. I did a little bit more work on Project Dragon, and I edited this vlog and also part of my writing vlog about I'm doing for Project Dragon. Just a little bit of this and that. A little bit of this and that. Did a little bit more knitting, as one would. Yeah, I didn't do any more reading tonight, but I've just been kind of chilling, and that's honestly the best Monday night one could ask for. But yes, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to me yap this weekend about my writing and Project Dragon and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I just like thinking things through as I talk to you guys, so it helped. A little bit. As I was editing this video and then editing the vlog, I was like, this like kind of like working things through in my head a little bit about a couple things. So I was like, nice. I don't really have anything else to say. I got nothing. So I'll catch you in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.